And now, this.
Okay, let's go. Harry Tracy.
Harry Tracy. Trigger warning. The following contains the authentic accounts of factual historical figures and events. If historical information may upset you, then please withdraw now. Retreat.
Well, I guess you know who I am.
Harry Tracy is a true story. This telling is authored from sources spanning over 120 years. All characterized quotations are verbatim from interviews, newspaper articles, and testimonials taken at the time. Scott Martinez. Part 1. Introduction. In all the criminal lore of the country, there is no record equal to that of Harry Tracy for cold-blooded nerve, desperation, and thirst of crime. Jesse James, compared with Tracy, is a Sunday school teacher. Seattle Daily Times, July 3rd, 1902.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Dateline 1902. Ragtime and science fiction. Skyscrapers and invention. A new century.
But way out west.
Tracy again escapes. Revolt at the penitentiary. 2 desperate convicts kill 3 guards and escape.
Well, I am Tracy.
Sensational outbreak at the state prison. Harry Tracy and David Merrill. 3 guards killed by 2 desperate convicts. Desperate and dangerous. Convicts escaped. A daring effort to secure their liberty.
Harry Tracy etched his name into infamy when he and accomplice David Merrill shot their way out of the Oregon State Penitentiary in Salem, killing 3 guards and wounding 1 prisoner on June 9th, 1902.
Harry Tracy and David Merrill escape the Oregon State Penitentiary.
Joseph D. Lee, Superintendent of the Oregon State Penitentiary, in his biennial report, 1902.
Guard Frank S. Merrill and wall guards S.R.T. Jones and B.T. Tiffany were fatally shot. Convict Frank S. Ingram received a bullet in his left leg, which necessitated its amputation. The escapees scaled the wall by means of a ladder. Several shots were fired at them, but the range was long and they were unhurt.
The guns were placed in the molding room. They did not go there of their own accord.
Joseph Kelly, 13 years in the Oregon Penitentiary.
Guard Farrell was standing near the door rolling a cigarette when Tracy and Merrill picked up the guns and walked up to Farrell. He turned and saw them coming and threw up his hands.
You had your day, and now it is mine.
Shot the officer without another remark.
Harry Tracy and David Merrill were long gone. However, while on the run, Tracy would reportedly kill Merrill himself,
Tracy killed Dave Merrill,
cheating his accomplice in a 10-pace duel, Harry turning at 8, shooting Merrill in the back, and then the head.
Body identified to be Merrill. The face is unrecognizable.
David Merrill, you mean? Oh, he ain't around anymore. I killed that son of a bitch several days ago.
The first thing we found was a black hat. A foul odor led the boy to the man's body.
Dead body of Outlaw Merrill is found. Warden James will not swear that it is convict.
The prison doctor declared the corpse delivered to the Oregon State Penitentiary to be David Merrill.
Body identified to be Merrill.
However, Joseph Bunko Kelly, in 13 years in the Oregon State Penitentiary, declared that he and other inmates did not believe that it was David Merrill.
I do not believe it was Merrill's body that was brought back to the penitentiary. Oregon boot is regarded as one of the best and most effective shackles known.
David Merrill was said to have gained a limp from his time in the Oregon boot.
No one has ever escaped from an Oregon boot.
Tracy was no stranger to the Oregon boot, having been manacled before in Utah and Colorado. A thick, heavy metal weight that locks around the top of one's ankle.
The only way to get an Oregon boot off is with a key.
Tracy murders attributed to revenge for being forced to don heavy boot.
Some inmates would later claim David Merrill's permanent and pronounced injury was not apparent on the faceless corpse determined to be David Merrill when the body was returned to prison.
A big scar on his ankle from the burn, and the band of the boot wore a dent into the skin. There was a hole in the ankle half an inch deep. The body they brought back had gray hair, and Merrill had none. Merrill is alive today. Merrill is dead.
He was no good, like I said.
Did Tracy kill Merrill?
Harry Tracy's accounts of the duel.
I miss him like hell, though.
His line of reasoning to kill and personal opinion of David Merrill varied and conflicted. 5 a.m., July 1st, 1902.
Tracy on the water.
Tracy appeared on South Bay, Puget Sound, near Capital City Oyster Company, alone.
Steals a launch and sails away. Makes his way to Seattle.
The N&S, a large gasoline launch, was tied just outside. Tracy spotted Captain A.J. Clark.
When I entered the house at the oyster plant, I noticed a man with a gun immediately. I thought it was a joke that had gone too far. Who are you? I demanded.
I am Tracy.
He turned pirate to reach Seattle. Tracy sailed the bounding main.
Can a man cruise around the Puget Sound in that boat?
Sure, it's a great boat.
Would it take a fellow to Seattle?
Easy as pie.
How long a trip would it be?
It's a 6 to 8 hour cruise.
Then that's where we're going, as soon as I've had breakfast. You got any objection to that?
Convict Harry Tracy lands near Seattle, appropriates a gasoline launch at South Bay near Olympia, forces 4 men into service, and effects a landing at Meadow Point.
While I was mortally afraid of the man, still he made a fella feel at home. Harry Tracy was now a lone fugitive, leading a 2-state chase, taking over private homes and boats. He was pursued by the Army and the Navy, hundreds of sheriffs, deputized militia, countless armed and enthusiastic volunteers, and packs of newspapermen.
Another bold holdup by convict Tracy.
He walked into Seattle with his rifle in one hand and his pack over his shoulder. Seattle, July 3rd, 1902.
Tracy's trail of blood. Oregon convict kills 2 officers near Seattle.
The 1902 4th of July weekend was planned to be noted for the ceremonial events around the battleship Nebraska keel-laying ceremony, but there was only one dominating topic of discussion: Harry Tracy. Escaped convict Harry Tracy killed Neil Raleigh, Policeman E.E. Breeze, Deputy Sheriff Charles Raymond, and Sheriff John Williams in 2 separate gun battles.
Desperado engages in 2 hot battles and continues his wild flight.
The fight occurred at 3:15 in the afternoon and was over in an incredibly short time. Harry Tracy instantly disappeared.
As Williams collapsed, Tracy disappeared. No sign of Tracy.
The whole adventure had hardly taken more than 2 or 3 minutes.
Drives away with stolen horse and buggy.
I'm a deputy sheriff and one of the men on Tracy's tail.
Tracy stepped into the middle of the road.
I must get to Seattle at once and I need your wagon. There is no time for delay.
When holding a home hostage, something Harry did frequently, the latest newspapers were the first thing Tracy wanted.
Rewards add up to over $5,600 for capture of Harry Tracy.
As ruthless and as violent as Tracy would prove to be, some of the people whose homes he entered reported Harry ultimately to be mannerly, courteous, and charismatic.
Well, he made himself useful around the place. We were putting up a barn, and Tracy spent much of his time carrying boards and nailing on the roof. He was a first-class worker.
A gallant, tender-hearted man with a prodigious love for little children.
Very polite. Offered to pay any price I wanted for some food.
To his pursuers, Harry would leave behind notes, messages.
To whom it may concern, tell Cudahy to take a tumble and let me alone, or I will fix him plenty. I'll be on my way to Wyoming. If your horses was any good, I would swap with you. Thanks for the cool drink, Harry Tracy.
Tracy wrote poetry.
Echoing the outlaw poet Black Bart, Harry left behind Doggerel.
Doggerel, coarsely written boastful rhyme left behind to taunt the law.
He is out for notoriety and not at all for gain. He may arrest a schoolboy or pull a hobo from a train. We left the Salt Lake Pen as the sun was setting low, and we walked along the railroad tracks until our legs refused to go. But we struck Park City early when the morning sunbeams lit on our striped pantaloons where the happy parties sit. When we started on our journey for our home they call the Wall, where very few detectives ever dare to call. Yours with kind love and best wishes, Harry Tracy.
Newspaper stories about Tracy, the daring desperado, garnered the adulation, even sympathies of some of the citizens, and Harry became their hero.
He's a brick, a jewel, a persecuted man.
Harry appeared to be everywhere, certainly in the press, and abundant anecdotal stories.
Knew Tracy well. Worked with him on the railroads in the Northwest. Lines out of Seattle, Spokane, and Helena.
I would have poisoned Tracy, but he watched me too closely.
Not since the gold rush had the Northwest gripped the public imagination or garnered this much attention. Many came to view Harry Tracy as a victim of the system, a downtrodden working-class Robin Hood. To other people, Harry Tracy was just plain terrifying.
Wake of death. Convicts slay guards and escape. Victims number 3.
Hate him, fear him, or cheer him on, Harry had instant market appeal and made perfect fodder for the headlines.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
And the newspapers covered him extensively.
Tracy likes the lake.
Harry Tracy was used to sell lakefront real estate.
Look out, Tracy and Merrill.
Appeared in an ad for Herman Wise, a clothing store and hatter in Astoria.
Look out that you are not held up and made to pay more than your neighbor.
There was a Tracy cocktail at the bar and a 5-cent cigar named in his honor. Several theater companies produced plays about the outlaw, with people who had actually been his captives reenacting their exploits.
At the Bon Marché, children should come with their parents as the crowds will be dense. At the 3rd Avenue Theater, Tracy is more of a hero on stage.
Let the average Seattle small boy witness the play, and he'll exchange his birthright for 30-30, kill his father and mother to effect his escape. Packed houses, who'd been told Harry Tracy was a hole-in-the-wall gang member, rode the outlaw trail with Butch Cassidy and the Wild Bunch. That bad man Tracy was evil. Evil as a man could be.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the posse in the cast is behind in its lines, there will be a short intermission.
So when Harry Tracy brazenly entered the city of Seattle, the summer of 1902, the entire Puget Sound was actively exercising the most exhaustive search in the region's history, looking for him.
Bandit Tracy heading north. Boat found in which he escaped.
When cornered, Harry would shoot and kill without hesitation.
Throw up your hands, you son of a bitch.
Tracy's trail of blood. Oregon convict kills 2 officers near Seattle.
Then Tracy would disappear completely from the city into the dense northwest forest still surrounding Seattle, and finally over the Cascade Mountains to eastern Washington.
Posse hot after Tracy. He is endeavoring to get to Idaho, but his chances of escape look slim.
popular dime novels, then silent films. Later television and movies were made about Harry, each ebbing further from the source. The story, Harry's life, and the Wild West came to rest, concluding by a large rock in the middle of a grain field in eastern Washington, where Harry took his last refuge. Being surrounded by a posse and being mortally wounded, Harry Tracy shot himself.
Tragic fate befalls noted Oregon outlaw. Tracy's exit. Desperado dies by own hand. Shots fired by pursuing posse had broken the leg and severed an artery, and death was inevitable. Crowd of relic seekers strips the body of gory souvenirs.
There was no burial ceremony for Harry Tracy, and he was best eulogized by Joseph D. Lee, superintendent of the Oregon State Penitentiary, in his biennial report, 1902.
With a reputation for crime only, while yet a young man, his sun set in darkness, and his remains lie unhonored in a prison cemetery.
But Harry Tracy's life began in Wisconsin, Pittsville, Wisconsin,
Welcome to Pittsville, Wisconsin,
where he was born with the name Harry Severance. So if you watch that whole video, you're pretty cool.
The preceding was one part of a 9-part project. To watch the next part, click here. Or to view the entire Harry Tracy documentary, click here. Well, that's just damn good news.
Well, my mama got drunk, and she was high. Yeah, my mama got drunk, and she was